Hey guys, hope you're well. So this is the second video of like a small series that I'm doing on how to set up the Radiomaster TX16S and how to set up a helicopter, a flybarless helicopter, and how to connect the Nexus XR flybarless unit as well. So basically just how to program and get everything ready for a flybarless helicopter. So in the first video we went over just the system menus across here, and we looked at what these did, and we also looked at how to how to update your version and how to get the latest version of the software. We also had a very brief look on the actual helicopter menu, but what I want to look at today is how to actually create a helicopter from scratch. And how to do that. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So what I showed you is I showed you two ways to get into the helicopter menu. One is that one, which gets you into that, and the other one is if you click on Edge TX, you could go to model settings, and that takes you to the same menu. But what I also want you to look at is this manage models option. So when I click on manage models, I get to see all the models that I have. And I can click new and create a new model, and I'm at the moment on the TRX550L, but if I click on this twice, I get to select model, duplicate it, label model, save as template, and delete model. Now one thing you need to know is you can't delete a model that you're already on. So because I'm already on the TRX550L, if I try to delete it, okay, I don't have that option. So if I wanted to delete it, I would first have to select one of my other two models, and then I can delete my TRX550L. And this is why if I click on this, I can see the delete model over here. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to start by creating a new model and going through the whole process. So to create a model, let's start from the beginning. Click on Edge TX, click Manage Models, click New. So quite easy, New Model. And we want a blank model. So this gives us a completely blank model, completely blank canvas. There's nothing there. The only default widgets you have is the date and time, and basically some radio information about battery and signal, etc. Okay, so let's start by creating our model. So if we click on MDL, takes us to here. So first thing, we're in the model setup. So I'm just gonna call this test. Labels, I'm not actually sure what that is, I don't use it, but I can find out if you really want me to, but it's not something I use. Model image, so we're just going to select an image, so I'm just going to select anything for now. Now, we have to go into internal RF, and the mode is off. We have to switch that on, so we have to go to CRSF. That's because we're using Express RS. Notice that says 500, and that now changes to 333 Hertz. So the reason it's gone to 333 Hertz is because if you remember, if you go to sys, go to Express LRS, it's basically picking up our packet rate. This is why it's saying 333 Hertz. So let's go back to our model. Let's go back in here. The other thing to notice is the receiver is 0, and it's saying that the ID is used in TRX700X and Align TB40. That's basically because this model is not bound. Once you bind to a receiver, you're going to have a receiver ID, and that's going to be unique. So that's nothing to worry about there. Okay, now we could set a timer and this pre-flight checks, but I'll visit that at the end of the video. And the next thing I want to look at is just other. So the thing that you've got to double check is your ADC filter. So if you remember in the first video, we had it switched off globally. So when you click on here, you have settings, global off and on. Now global for me is off, but if you have your global set to on, then you need to switch it off on here. But for me, I've set my global to off, so I don't need to switch it off. Remember, ADC filter, I don't know exactly what it does, but I've been recommended that that needs to be switched off for helicopters and switched on for planes. Good, so that's the first bit. Don't need to touch on anything else in here. Now the next menu is our heli setup. Now we're not actually going to use heli setup because I believe this is the setup for a flyby helicopter, but all our setup is actually going to be done, or the majority of it is going to be done within the Nexus flybarless unit. Next page, flight modes. Again, we don't need to worry about that. That's going to be done in the Nexus flybarless unit. So inputs. So here we have aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder. Now the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say edit. And I'm just going to rename this to COL, which stands for collective. The reason I'm doing that is because this channel here is not going to be my throttle. This is literally going to control my collective, and my throttle is going to be controlled by a switch, or the motor is going to be controlled by a switch. So this will literally just control my collective, so I want to call it collective just so it's not confusing for me. But if you want to keep it as throttle and you're happy with that, feel free to do that. Okay. Next menu is the mixes menu. Now this is where we're going to be doing most of the work. So you can see here channel 3 says COL because we've renamed it. So we're going to leave the first 4 channels untouched. We're going to click add, and then we're going to go to channel 5, and I'm going to call this ARM. A-R-M. This is going to be my arming switch. Okay, now I want my arming switch to be my SA switch. Okay, so I want this switch over here. I want this to be my arming switch. So I'm just going to select it so it finds it. Now, what I want to do is I want my model to be armed when that switch is at the top position, and I want it to be disarmed when that switch is either in the middle position or in the bottom position. But at the moment, it's the opposite because my 100% is at the bottom, not at the top. So I need to reverse that channel basically. So to reverse it, all you do is you go to the weight. So I'm going to click on weight, and I'm just going to keep going down until I get to minus 100. So now this is armed, this is going to be disarmed, and this is disarmed. So this is working how I want it to work. Good. We're then going to go to channel 6, and this one is going to be my hold. And I want my hold to be on this switch over here, so I'm going to go to source, I'm going to flick it, so it's that switch out there, and that is switch SF. And also I want the same, so when this switch is down, I want it to be active, and when the switch is up like that, I want it to be on basically throttle cut. So again, I need to reverse this channel. So I'm going to go to here, to the weight, and I'm going to do exactly the same again. So now this is going to be throttle cut or throttle hold, and now when I flick it that way, the throttle is going to be active. Now the reason we have arm and throttle hold, they're basically 2 switches that need to be switched on for the motor to go on, so it's just for safety. Now my channel 7 is going to be my fly modes. Some people call them banks, some people call them idle up 1, idle up 2, others call them different things. So everyone calls it something different. So I'm going to call it FM for flight mode because that's what I like. I like flight mode 1, 2, and 3. And my switch that I'm going to use is going to be this one over here. So I'm going to select that, and that's my SG switch. Now, I'm happy with that being flight mode 1 at minus 100. That will be flight mode 2 at 0, and that will be flight mode 3. So I don't need to reverse the channel, I don't need to change the weight on here. So this is all good. And my last one is going to be rates. So my rates I'm going to put on this SD switch. So I'm going to select SD, and I want this to be rate number 1, this 2, and this 3. So in that case I need to reverse it. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do exactly the same. So now this is my rate 1, rate 2, and this will be my rate number 3. Good, and we're pretty much there. This is what we need to do in this menu, so it's quite nice and easy. Now we've set our arm switch, that one, we've set our throttle hold, we've set our different flight modes and our different rates. These are the switches I'm going to be using. Okay, so we move on to outputs. Now in this output, you've got channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is fine, but what I want to do is I want to rename them, and I'm going to show you why. If I go to here and I go channel monitor, I can just see channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, etc. And you know, this is fine, but actually I want to know what channel 1 is and what channel 5 is and what channel 6 is. So it's good to rename them. So if we go back to our back to our model, and we go to our output, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, click edit, and I'm just literally going to call that AI, I don't want it capitals, AIL, so that is now going to be called aileron. Now channel 2, I'm going to call it ELE. So now that's my elevator, and I'm going to do that and name all my channels working my way down. Okay, so I've renamed all my channels, so you can see I've got aileron, elevator, coal, rud, arm, hold, FM, and rates. Now, if we go into our channel monitor, now you can see that each channel is now got a label on it, and it's got a name, a meaningful name, rather than just, you know, being channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, you actually have a meaningful name. Good. Okay, so we were in outputs. So curves, we're not going to do anything with curves. Global variables, we're not going to do anything. Logical switches, we're not going to do anything. Special functions, we're not going to do anything at the moment. And then telemetry. So we've basically finished the kind of basic model setup. But what I do want to go back and visit over here is the timer and also the pre-start checks. So I'm going to go to the timer and I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it timer. The mode is going to be on. The switch, I want it to come on when I actually start my motor. So I want it to come on this switch. So SF pointing up. That's what I want. Now, the time that I'm going to have, I want, I mean, this is just a test, so we could just go for 4 minutes. Direction, I want show remain, which basically means it's going to count down. So it's going to show me like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, etc. It's going to be counting down. Minute call, I want that, I like that. You don't have to have it. This where it drops to 3 minutes, it will say 3 minutes, then it'll say 2 minutes, 1 minute, etc. Now the countdown, I want just a 10-second countdown, that's enough for me. And I want it to be voice and haptic. Haptic is basically vibration. So I want it voice and vibration. Now, the actual voice or the sound on this transmitter is quite low, especially when you're flying a helicopter. They're very loud, and I can't really hear it, to be honest with you. So this is why I have haptic, because it starts vibrating and I know I've got 10 seconds left, so I just land. Okay, so we've set that up. Now, the other thing I want to look at is pre-start checks. Now, pre-start checks basically gives you a warning if one of these switches or a switch that you specify is not in the right position. So I want to get a warning if this switch, remember at the top I set it to armed, at the bottom is disarmed. So I want this, if this is not at the bottom position, I want to get a warning. Okay, so it's going to look to see, is switch SA in that position, in the down position, and if it is, I won't get a warning, but if it isn't, I will get a warning. Now SB doesn't do anything, so I could switch it off by having it as white. SC doesn't do anything, so I could switch it off. SD doesn't do anything, so I could switch it off. Well, SD is my rates, but I don't really want a warning on rates, so that's fine. SE, I don't need to do anything as well, so that could be switched off. Now SF, that needs to be pointing down, okay, because if it's up, it means it's armed, so I need that to be pointing down, and SG is my flight modes, and I want that to be pointing up, okay? I want that to be in flight mode 1. So, now that I've set this up, if I was to switch the transmitter off, and let's say that button's not in the right position, and I go to switch on.
Welcome to HTX. Switch warning.
Okay, so it's telling me that SA should be in position down. So now that I flick it down and it starts. And this is really important to set, guys. It's really, really important with helicopters, because imagine you've accidentally knocked this is open, you plug your helicopter in and it's just gonna spool up. Okay, it can be quite deadly. So this is why it's so important to set these up and make sure you set them up correctly. Right, so this is everything I wanted to show you in this video. In the next video, we'll look at actually how to set up the front end and the widgets, etc. So hopefully you've learned something new. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.